Hello friends. Okay, so today I want to work a little hard. I want to be a little fast. And I have blue leggings and a blue Theraband. So we're all ready to go. The Theraband I'm choosing to use is a medium resistance. You can really use any color. And if you don't have a Theraband today, you can still go through the movements and just kind of create a little bit of resistance for yourselves. So we're going to do a little bit of bridging, a little bit of glutes, a little bit of arms, a little bit of standing work, and then we're done. So I'm actually going to take my band down, and then we're going to do just a little dynamic stretching for our hip flexors because we're going right into bridging. So we want to lengthen out the front of the leg so that we have a better opportunity to open up through the front of the hip and get our glutes to fire. So I'm going to start in this 90-90 position, and then I'm just going to go ahead and really gently bend my front knee. I'm not going into a huge expression of this, but what I'm thinking is just gently starting to open up the front of the hip and then rock back. I'm keeping my ribs down, and I'm thinking more about my sacrum pressing forward. And this is just a suggestion, and so if staying in this 90-90 position is enough of a stretch for you, just by tucking your pelvis under a little bit, great, just stay there and breathe. Easy. I'm not a huge fan of bouncing in stretches, but I do kind of like to move in and out, creating more of a dynamic feel in a stretch rather than just holding. It works better for my body, so you can give it a try and see if that works better for you. Okay, I'm just gonna take my knee down, right over way to the other side. And if balance is an issue, I have this groovy wall right here, but you can hold on to something. No worries. Yeah, don't stress yourself out before we've even started working. I'm gonna push my feet down into the floor. I'm gonna tuck my hips under, ribs down, and just going back and forth, easy. Starting to check in with the body, check in with the breath, seeing how the pelvis feels, how your spine feels. So even in these sort of quick, fast workouts, take that moment to ground yourself. I think it's really important and also really beneficial. Okay, one more time. Forward and back. All right, now we're gonna come down. So first thing we're gonna do is just warm up the hips a little bit. So I'm gonna take my band, hopefully you guys can see it because it really is exactly the same color as my leggings today. So I'm gonna take my band across the front of my thighs. I'm gonna wrap it around the back. Okay, so I'm turning myself into a little Pilates present. Then I'm gonna crisscross it again, and then I'm gonna come down onto my back, okay? So the nice thing about this is you can use your arms to kind of create as much tension as you want. My feet are gonna come together. Take a couple pelvic curls, so tucking and arching. And I'm really gonna commit to that feeling of a neutral pelvis or whatever that means for my body today. So I'm thinking about the center of my sacrum into the mat. All I'm gonna do is keeping my feet together. I'm gonna take my knees out and back in. Okay, I'm gonna do this about 10 times. So we're just kind of, you can call this like, I don't know, a supine clam. So we're not going, or a supine butterfly. Just starting to connect to the muscles on the sides of my hips. Those external rotators, a little bit of the lateral stabilizers of the pelvis. Let's do 5, 4, noticing if I want to like tuck or do a little pelvic thrust. Just so I can keep everything really chill. I can feel my left hip being a little sleepy. I'm gonna say, hey you, come on. So just checking in if the sides feel symmetrical. They probably won't, they never do. But that's what we're efforting towards always, right? Okay, one more. Now I'm gonna unwrap myself, and then I'm gonna take the band, nice and flat, I'm gonna put it across kind of the lower part of my pelvis, all right? So I'm using the band as some resistance, here we go. So we're gonna try to do 10 of everything. If that just feels like way too much today, then do the amount of repetitions that feels appropriate to do. I'm gonna plant my feet, I'm gonna let my ribs come down, and I'm gonna start to press my hips up into the band, pushing my hands down. So I'm already getting a little bit of arm work and a little bit of tush work. I'm gonna tap my tailbone to the ground for 10. So I'm choosing to do a neutral pelvis lever today rather than an articulating bridge. And that's just so I can feel a little more juicy movement in my hips And I find that it does tend to kind of wake up the glutes a little faster. I already lost count. Oh no. Let's do about 5 more. Pushing the hips through the band. And the nice thing about the band is it gives you some feedback if one hip isn't lifting quite as high as the other one. Let's do 3 and 2 and 1, then just little pulses, down an inch, up an inch for 10, 9. Push the hands down a little more vigorously, 8, 7, 6, ribs down, 5, sacrum pressing through the hip joints, and 2, stay up there. Press the hands down, feel your hips pressing evenly into that band, and then you're gonna march one leg up and down, other leg up and down. Now I'm noticing that because of where I have the band across my pelvis, I can't really lift my leg up as high into tabletop as maybe I normally do, because that band may roll back and snap my face, which wouldn't be so good. So I'm just thinking that I'm unloading one leg to load up the other leg, keeping my hips level. Hey train, we're on the glute train right now. Breathing. Let's do 2. And you can see I'm not going super high today. I'm still feeling a little burn. So you do you. 1 more. And then come on down. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my right foot, okay, into the band. And then I'm gonna take that foot up to the ceiling. Now I'm gonna bend my elbows. I don't have a ton of resistance, but just a little bit. Okay, here we go. You guessed it, single leg bridge. Up, 10. So the band is giving a bit of resistance to the standing hip. I'm thinking about pushing my right foot through the band up to the ceiling. 4, oh my gosh. 3, imagine that band is still across your hips, nice and level. 2, and 1, hold. Now you're gonna lower that straight leg down and up for 10. 9, and 8, adjusting my hips. 7, 6, hello left tush. 5, good morning. 4, good afternoon, good evening, good whenever. 3, and 2, and 1. Slowly come down. Just gonna take a nice little choreographed transition. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna find that foot, flex it gently, start in a neutral pelvis, elbows anchored, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. You might have to wag your tailbone a little bit to the right if your right foot is down, just to keep those hips level. It feels counterintuitive. But oftentimes when we lift one leg up, our hips will really want to go off to one side. So you want to keep that tailbone laser beaming straight forward in space. And 2, 1, lift and lower that long leg for 10. And 9, good everyone. 8, that's it. 7, push that right foot down, lift the hips a little higher. 6, why not? 5, 4, breathing. 3, 2, 1. Good, okay, let's give the spine a little release. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the band into my arms. Take the arms up towards the ceiling. Get a nice little hang there. This time I'm gonna lift my hips up. I'm gonna pull the band apart slightly, take my arms back behind me. I'm gonna roll my spine down. Good. Let's just do that 2 more times. Arms go up, lever the hips up just like you did. Pull the band apart a little bit. Take the arms back and roll your spine down. Good. And 1 more time, arms up. Lift the hips up. Take the arms back and roll that spine down. Okay, we're gonna come up to standing. We're gonna use all of that lateral stability we just found in those single leg bridges. We're gonna do a little bit of lunging arm work, okay? So I'm gonna take the band down onto the floor. All right, and then I'm gonna step 1 foot into the band, and I'm gonna step my other foot back into a lunge, okay? So I'm loading up my standing leg and my standing hip, and you can see I'm not upright. I'm leaning forward a little bit, and if you wanna challenge yourself more, hippity hop that back leg back. If you need a little more support, you can come in and plant the heel down, okay? So lots of choices here. I'm gonna choke down as much as feels appropriate, ribs in, pelvis square, and then I'm gonna start to row for 10, 9, 8. So even though my back heel is lifted, I'm still thinking about reaching back through my heel, grounding my front heel, ribs in, 3, 2, and 1. Now I'm gonna turn my hands, I'm gonna go for a bicep curl for 10, 9. The lower are you down, the lower you are to the floor, oh goodness, the more demand will be on that front glute. So I'm gonna lift up a little bit, lightening it up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, from there, I'm gonna spin my back heel down. I'm going to just take one side of the band. So I'm in this lunge position. I'm gonna open my arm out and back. So you can see my hips are a little bit on a diagonal. If you do yoga, it's kind of like a warrior 2. And I'm working the rotator cuff a little bit, shoulder on that side. And 2. And 1. Now I'm going to take the band into the same arm as leg. And I'm going to see if I can go up and down. I'm going to adjust my hips. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Good. We're going to do a slight different variation for the first 2 sets on the second side. I'm going to turn around so I can still face you guys when I turn into that lunging warrior 2 position. So I'm going to step my other foot forward, and we're going to work a little more into the back of the arms. So I'm finding that same nice long lunging position, ribs, hip, heel, nice and long, crown of the head reaching. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead for modified chest expansion, taking the straight arms back and down. 9, 8, little balance challenge. 7, 6, 5, 4, counting just as much for myself as I am for you. 3, 2, now hold. Bend your elbows, squeeze them in towards your rib cage. Let's renew that thought of getting longer through the spine, maybe bend a little bit more through that standing leg. Here we go, triceps. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, back of the neck is long, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now I'm going to spin my back heel down. I'm going to find myself in that little lunge, and then I can already tell I'm going to need to shift my band so I have a little more band available to me. So, make the adjustments that you need to. Notice if you're kind of doing a little Valley Girl circa, 1987. Try to square your hips off and really push that standing knee so it's over your second and third toe, even if you have to rotate your pelvis. I'm going to draw the arm out and back in. Out and in. I'm just going for about 8 of these. If you want to do more, do more. If you want to do less, do less. 3 and 2 and 1, and then you're going to punch up to the ceiling with the same arm as knee that's bent. And again, for this, if your range is here, you're amazing. If your range is here, you're amazing. If you're just holding it and maybe doing little pulses, you're amazing. It's all good. All movement is good. 2 and 1. Okay, from there, come up. I'm going to come down to a kneeling position, more so my arms don't get cut off. You are more than welcome to stay up if you want. This position is actually a good challenge, though, if you want to give it a try, because it works those same bridging muscles. So what I'm going to do is think about pressing my pelvis forward, getting up into a nice straight line, but if knees can't tolerate this, you can do this standing. It's totally fine. So Last two things here. I'm gonna take the band out straight. I'm holding onto it with my fingernails so it's kind of long. Okay, and then I'm just gonna open and back in. And open and in. So indeed my shoulder blades are moving, but I'm thinking more about creating width. So I'm gonna go side view just so I can show you. So it's less of a feeling of extension and more of a feeling of how wide can I get that band out to the sides of the room. 3 and 2. So we're working the upper back, but in a very wide, long position. 1, stay there, little rotation for 4. 3, oh my goodness. 2, stretch that band a little wider. And 1. All right, from there, shoulder stretch, taking the band, and you're gonna go ahead. Appropriate distance apart, the wider the hands are, the less feeling of stretch or the less range of motion is required, so make a safe choice for your body. Up and back, yum. Up and forward. If you feel like you can tolerate a little bit more opening in the shoulders, take your hands a little closer together. Do what feels good, not what you think you should be doing. What's actually going to serve you. Up and around, and up and around, and band disappearing into my leggings. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.